Hello, everybody. I'm Kerry,
And I'm Daphne.
and welcome to
Ask
Ask Kerry.
Carrie.
Well, honey, this is as you can see, our Christmas episode and our
Our
last episode.
last one of the
I
year.
know, right? Well, we had,
It's been a lot of fun. A
yeah, I
lot of
mean,
good
it's episode,
questions have come in,
yeah,
and so
yeah. So a seventh episode since we started, and we try to be consistent with it, but sometimes work and life and everything gets in the way and puts space in between. So,
yeah, and
uh,
always before the holidays, it's crunch time for my work. So I had a lot of things to finish up, and
yeah,
now I'm settled in for the holiday, which feels really good.
yeah. And we have a new awesome background. It looks pretty good, right? I think it looks very nice.
Yes, and if you're listening on the podcast, Carrie has redone my mantle. He built and put trim around it. It's lovely. So very happy. It's my Christmas present.
Right, and Christmas present. Merry Christmas. Now I'm off the hook.
Yeah.
Well,
Although I had to paint it.
you did. Well, as a colorblind, me, you didn't want me painting it.
Yeah. No thanks.
But we've had an exciting year and a lot of exciting things coming up, which we'll talk about at the end. But to end our season or the 2024 of Ask Care,
We have the last question of the year.
last question of the year. Okay, hit me with it.
All right. This one comes from Sherry in Tennessee. Dear Carrie, my question has to do with my own inner conflict about desensitization. I go back and forth as a trainer on this because I can't stop but wonder what exactly I am teaching the horse that they can take with them into the real world, where we are not controlling the stimuli they encounter. Your work in equine psychology is extremely eye-opening to this well-seasoned trainer. I would, let me start again. What? Wow. Yeah, good thing it's the last one of the year.
We have not had eggnog yet.
Your work in equine psychology is extremely eye-opening to this well-seasoned trainer, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I only discovered you about 3 months ago. Wow. So I apologize if you have already addressed this question. If so, where can I find your segments? Thank you in advance, Sherry in Tennessee.
Wow, well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Sherry, and I'm glad that you
Yeah,
found.
thank you for finding
Thank you for
us.
finding us and finding me, and thanks for writing in. Interestingly enough, so desensitization is how should I say, something I have many strong opinions about, many strong feelings about, and so much so that my new book series is going to have a whole segment and a whole chapter probably
Something
on
about life challenges,
life skills.
life skills.
Life
That's it.
skills.
That's
Well, so to me,
combination.
so to me, there's a difference between desensitization. And first, let me just say that I don't have anything particularly against it, but I don't advocate it in my work because I'm all about improving the sensory efficiency of the horse. So I guess it depends on the context that you're doing it in. Because for me, um, desensitizing a horse to a particular stimuli in a controlled environment, we have to ask ourselves how translatable is that to other environments. And when we make a horse or work to make a horse basically desensitized or basically immune or lack an expression from that sensitivity that we're trying to get them over, what is the full purpose for that, and what are we actually teaching the horse that they can take with them in other environments? I'm all about teaching a horse life skills other than desensitizing. I would rather improve their sensitivity and make it more efficient, make it more purposeful, make their responses, let them have the responses and allow these responses to be purposeful and useful for us. And that way the horse can translate that information to other environments. For me, desensitizing a horse, and again, this is in context, there's many different variables to this, and it would take 3 or 4 shows to go through everything. But for me, it can be a slippery slope. It is, in my opinion, it's unstable because a horse, it's a learned behavior. So it's a learned response. The lack of response is still a learned response, right? So how does that translate to other similar situations when it's not exactly the same? A conditioned response like that is predicated upon sameness and the same condition. the same thing. That's what the horse is going to associate with. But yet, if you translate that into a different area, how well does that translate to different places? What kind of a life skill is a horse, learning from that? And to me, everything that we train a horse, we're training a horse through learned behaviors. Anything that we do for a horse like that as a learned behavior, they should have a takeaway from that they can use going forward when they're not with us. Teaching them to be more efficient, sensory efficiency, running through the sensory sequences with efficiency, doing proper sensory lead changes, us understanding what those are and what our horse needs from us to have proper communication. You want the horse to communicate with their environment and with us properly, and not just be like, non-responsive to it. Is that it? No. there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's many different layers there to that, And I have a lot of people. I said I'm not against desensitizing the horse for certain things, but is it a life skill or is it a trick for us to just to have fun with the horse? Like I want the horse to be better at who they are in all different environments that we can take them to different places for. And so sometimes I think the controlled environment that is a desensitization situation is it like I said, it can be a slippery slope because now it is a physical thing. So desensitizing a horse is primarily run through the physical senses, right? So when it's run through the physical senses, there's still emotions that surround that, where life skills are emotionally driven senses. The emotional part of that they have to figure out things and determine things in the environment, learn how to outsource properly. Instead of having the horse shut down their immune system or the sensory system to become immune to something, I'd rather them have an outsource with you and learn how to associate that in a different way. And then we can take them into a different location and have good efficiency in our learning, a life skill. You look like you're.
So I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like with desensitization, I know it's used to help them learn the saddle off and on and off and on. How does the life skills that you're teaching, like?
Well, what's the difference?
Yeah,
Is that what you're asking? I mean,
yes.
so that obviously there's different ways you can desensitize a horse and different reasons that you do it, right? But to me, going that route without knowing really who that horse is, without understanding the efficiency of their sensory system, understanding where they are on their herd structure or their herd dynamics, how are they communicating with the world? Because a miscommunication at an early age, especially, that miscommunication can have a dramatic effect on everything the horse does from henceforward. How we train and teach and where this horse goes in their lives.
So really, you should know the horse before you start any type of training.
Well, yeah, obviously, yes. You need to have the psychological makeup of who that horse is, and how efficient is their sensory system, because you can be desensitizing a horse from our perspective, but causing a ton of trauma for that horse, right?
Right.
And horses will express trauma in different ways. Some will just basically shut down and internalize it. But yet now we have an emotional scar that's in there. Yes, they're desensitized, all right. Okay.
But now they have another.
But now it's a
problem.
a ticking time bomb. That carries forward. So it's not. You want to massage the horse's sensory system. You want to make it more fluent. You want to make their communication with the environment more fluent and purposeful in their responses. Allow a horse to respond, teach them and give them ways to make that response purposeful. And that way you can work with it. Horses are going to do things, and sometimes we try to overcorrect or make them numb to certain things. And I want you to stand right here, okay? But how are you going about doing that? What is your communication like for that horse, and what are you teaching that horse? What are your learned behaviors? Are you just numbing the horse down and conditioning them to a controlled response on a very specific thing, or are we giving them the levity to be who they are and to respond accordingly? But yet we're going to choreograph and curate those responses and put them into a positive action. That is taking that emotional energy and bottling it up, as opposed to taking that emotional energy and helping them redistribute it in a manner that we can work with. I don't want to use the word control because I don't like that word. Partner with. Partner with your horse. Partner with not just the physical horse, but communicate with your horse, through their emotions, your intentions, those kind of things. And that to me is, instead of desensitizing the horse, allow them to be sensitive, right? And allow them to express themselves, but use it, to your benefit and to their advantage. Let them be who they are, but use it to their advantage. So there are certain things you can do. You can desensitize for, saddling and round the head and things like that. Okay, but there's certain layers to it too. You don't want to overdo it. There's a fine line between desensitizing, getting the horse used to something, and then causing trauma. I often say there's a fine line between training and trauma. Okay, and that fine line it's movable. Depending on the horse, depending on how efficient the sensory system is. If you're working on a desensitization tactic, whatever you want to call it, for a particular horse who has a very efficient sensory system, who's high up on the herd structure, herd dynamic, doesn't do a whole lot of outsourcing, and has a very efficient processing, then you're less likely to do any kind of emotional scoring to that horse, because they're already anticipating what's happening, and they can handle it a lot easier, and they're going to learn faster anyway. So you won't have to do it nearly as much. Take a horse that has interruptions in their sensory sequences, interruptions in that process, mid to lower level herd structure horses, which is the majority of horses, okay, from a psychological standpoint. Now you're going to have to sometimes overdo it on your desensitization tactics, or or what you're trying to train the horse, to teach the horse, and then you end up using more emotional force, more physical force, too much repetition without a break, without allowing the horse to have a mental reset. So yes, desensitizing can be a training tool, but you also have to know your horse, know how efficient the sensory system is. You got to know when to say when, and know when it's not going to work, and when you're actually adding a layered scar to that horse. So for me,
So to blend them better.
yes, a blending, and just not being responsible horsemanship is being responsible to the horse's emotions, to who that horse is, to how they are viewing the world, how they're interpreting the world. And not every horse is going to be the same. Just like all people, we learn in different ways. We have our different things that we respond to, better than others, teaching tools and things of that nature. And the horses are the same way. And you need to know that before you create a curriculum for your horse, especially a young horse. Very important.
Wow, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is, and I'm trying to. I mean, so I'm excited as we know that I'm starting. I have already started on the new
Your new
book,
books,
the new book
yeah.
series. The View from the Hoof is going to be a 6-book monographic series. I'm very excited about it, and I'm well underway on book 1. Um, all the things that we're talking about here will be in book number 4, I believe, which is going to be on training the equine.
Now, please know that he has notes for every single book. He's just breaking them down and putting them in sequence. So they're pretty much written. He's just fine tuning everything and how they go and where they go where.
Yeah, don't come into my office. There's stuff there's notebooks everywhere. There's notebooks everywhere. Well, even when I come home, like I keep a notebook next to the bedstand, because I might wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm one of those people that I'm a mind to hand thinker. Like I have to write it before I type it.
Yeah.
And that's just my art. But there's going to be, this is a really important thing, because there's so many different parts and compartments to it. And it can be, Sherry, to answer your question, it can be a useful training protocol if it's done in the context that fits your horse's psychology. It is all about the horse's psychology. You can't physically train and physically coach an emotionally driven animal.
Right. So one program of desensitization won't work for every single horse. Like you can't just bring 4 horses to that same, program and do them all the same.
And by and large, desensitizing a horse generally is talking about physical things,
touch.
just physical touch.
Okay.
Yes, that physical touch, right? But there's multiple layers to the sensory system. That's just a tiny part of it. And before it even gets to physical touch, there's a whole emotional thing going on. There's a whole bringing the outside world to the inside of the horse as a process. Touch and responding to touch and things like that, they have to be done in a certain type of context. And no physical action should ever precede an emotional intention. You cannot train or coach a horse that way sustainably. You can score a horse like that, but physical actions must follow purposeful intention. Okay, so we can't just do something for the sake of it, right? We have to have an intentional purpose of reason why we're doing it and be thoughtful about it, because we don't want the horse to become reactionary or shut down to physical asks, physical triggers, physical cues, and confused about the emotional inflection behind them. Because we want the horse to learn to anticipate physical cues. We want the horse to anticipate what's coming in a proper way. You can't do that by just teaching the horse through physical context. You have to lead. Horses clear space psychologically with their sensory system, before they physically move through that space, right? We have to do the same thing in our approach to the horse when we're coaching, teaching, handling them, whatever the case may be. And oh, by the way, there are 6 compartments of sensitivity around the horse. There's 6 different sensory aspects around the horse. And oh, by the way, they knit together through sensory lead changes. Okay? And oh, by the way, if they can't do it effectively because they're herd animals, most of them cannot. The large majority of them will not do that whole sequence, that 6-step process effectively. They're going to outsource for that. Okay? So if it's just you and the horse,
maybe they outsource to me.
well, they're going to, if you're my teacher, right, and you're always coming at me with something, or you're yelling at me, and you're emotionally harsh, right, or you're always like, dun, 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 dun. Well, yeah, you know what? I'm going to anticipate. Oh, geez, I'm with you again. Like, okay, instead of learning, or instead of being using your sensory system properly, you're going to automatically start to withdraw. You're going to have stress accumulation, and that balloon is going to pop at some point. People say to me, "Oh, my horse did this out of nowhere." Well, I hate to tell you, but out of nowhere comes from somewhere, and it's usually very deep within here, and it's residual. It's a leftover emotion from something else that have to be processed. There's only so much room in that balloon, So I think if you're using desensitization procedures, or I don't even know what to call it because I don't use it. But if you are, please be sure that your emotional intentions always precede that physical action. And don't overdo it. We don't need a snowball effect. Give the horse a chance to, if the horse is struggling with it, let the horse have time to psychologically rebalance, right? And it's something that I coach and teach and everything in my work, but finding that mind to body fluency, that harmony. Remember, horses seek
harmony and contentment.
Yeah, harmony and contentment, exactly, 100%. They seek harmony in their environment and contentment with their peers. Well, you're not doing either sometimes with your horse if you overdo things and you do them the wrong way. So I would say be very careful, and there's other ways to do it. But ultimately, it comes down to how well do you know your horse, and it is how you're doing is more important sometimes than what you're doing. So that's actually the short answer to a big question.
Wow, now I got to wait for book 5 to learn even more. So will you have this in do you have any upcoming educational modules coming that has anything like this in
Very excited that the Mind of the Horse, we have on the Institute for Advanced Equine Studies on our website. Mind of the Horse is Module 1 has been out for a little while. It's pretty popular. And I've getting ready to release Module 2, which is a master class on emotional stress tolerance. It is identifying and understanding stress tolerances in your horse and training. And it is going to be video and written and all kinds of great stuff. And I'm just about finished it. So when I'm finished it, my boss will have to get it put up on Think Epic. But I'm really excited for this. This is, um, it takes me some time in between putting out new course modules, but I don't want to just put out something for the sake of putting something out. And I'll never do that. And this is a very exciting new education module. So that will be out for Christmas.
Wow.
Well, I should say, I hope it's going to be out for. I'll be finished. I'll be finished.
Well, now you have me on the hook.
Yeah, so I'll be finished in a couple of days, and then be ready to start loading
Yeah,
up.
I like it.
School.
When you go through and you make up the course, for a lot of the footage that I'm taking, then as I'm putting the courses together, it helps me really learn what you're doing in those videos.
Oh, this is, you're going to love this one, because there's 6 videos that we're using, right? And you took them. Mm-hmm. But not only are you getting my coaching commentary through the microphone with the horse and the client, I'm also then going into the next step and breaking down the film footage. So you're getting each video, I break down and do a whole written synopsis, because I love studying film. Like you'll notice that, what I'm seeing and what I'm talking about on camera when we're in the moment coaching. That's the whole reason why I film everything, is because going back to the lab, and I call it the lab in my office, and then breaking that film study down is just, you learn so many fascinating things and so many minute details, and you can stop the film. And so we do this. We have the visual, and then we have the breakdown of the film. So, and you can learn a lot. I'm putting a lot into this so that you have a lot of great takeaways to learn how to identify stress markers in your horse, and how to intervene with mental interventions, help them process that information, what to do about creating harmony and pace and rhythm and tempo, and just all kinds of really incredible things that you'll be able to use in training your horses. And it's just part 1. There's going to be, you'll be able to read it on the introduction when that goes up, but I have a lot planned for that. It's very exciting. This is breaking new ground in equine psychology, and I'm really excited to share it with you.
I'm excited to learn it right now.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great year. I mean, it's 2024. I mean, we got married.
We did get married.
That was the best thing
in June, and
that happened to me.
We went over to Europe, and that was nice to be able to see another trainer in her world. And
Niski, yeah, it was great. And learned a lot. The cool thing about traveling is that you learn so much too. I mean, every person that we talk to, every horse I meet, but just outside of that, just life in general, being exposed to different environments and just being willing to explore. And it's certainly priceless, and certainly appreciate it. And in 2025, we have some exciting things on tap. A lot of exciting things on tap. Stay tuned for that. We could be spending quite a bit of time in Australia, New Zealand, back to Europe, bringing Niski from Europe, from the Netherlands here in June. Thank goodness, I'm so thankful that we have Abigail. Abigail is just Abigail. You're incredible. Such a great help as event manager and taking on client relations coordinator, and really so many things behind the scenes, and
taking a lot of pressure off of me for having to do so much social media.
Yeah,
it's just been
it's
great, especially this time of year. I just get so busy and so overwhelmed. It's nice to have help doing all those things.
And then I have Julie, editor and literary agent, because I'm working on many books. And
how many books now?
Interesting. So what? A fact that you don't
can't even keep track.
A fact that you may not know about Kerry is that I've written several books, and I have 4 completed novels.
Just waiting to
that's going to be in the hands of Julie. And the new horse book. I'm also writing the caregiver's handbook because of my life experiences as a caregiver. I love to write. For me, writing is my words are my paintbrush, and that's my art. I love to write, and so that's.
So, tell me how exactly you can switch from I'm writing about herd dynamics, now I'm writing about caregiving, and then I've written all these,
I'm writing a children's book or something like that. Yeah.
Like how in the heck do you do all this?
Well, I compartmentalize everything. For me,
So you just pull it, you put it in a box. Whoop! There you go. Okay,
I
I'm going
can
to open
go.
this box
So
today.
I can quite literally, while I'm putting together this new course module, which I've been immersed in, I can take a break from that, go get a cup of coffee, come back, work on the book, on the horse book. A View from the Hoof. The first book is on herd structure and family unit.
Okay, so I shut the lid before my coffee on this one. Go and get my coffee. Go open
And
the
then I can
box
work on that
on
for a
this
while,
one.
and then I get another cup of coffee, and then work on another book.
See, I can't fathom doing that because I'm such a creative. Once I get in my creative mode with what I do with my paintbrushes and my art, I want to keep going until I burn out on it. I can't just switch and do another one. Now I can, with household chores and stuff, I can go da 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 and switch back and forth. But in the creative aspect,
Well, for me, it's
I
kind of
just
like painting 4 different paintings at one time. And that's how I'm happiest that way. I feel very unfulfilled if I'm not throttled down, full tilt busy, and constantly creating. And yeah, constantly as you know, I mean, you live with me, so for for better or worse, honey. But I don't really have an off button because for me, because it's like it's not work. It's just who I am.
yeah, I love what you do.
It's just who I am. I don't even half time. I don't even know what day it is. I mean, I don't even know if it's a Saturday or a Sunday or if it's Friday. I don't live Monday through Friday and look forward to the weekend. I just look forward to every single day. I look forward. I can't wait to get up in the morning and get started. And that's just every day for me. It's just days of the week are just days on the calendar. I have an appointment that day, but for for me, it's just like, I mean, how much can I get done today? What can I create today? That's and just like something that we closed out the year with just recently was our finally launching our Destination Hope and our Beyond the Hoof podcast. If you look at the website, you go to Beyond the Hoof. It talks to you about, you bring that down, it'll explain to you about our Destination Hope project. And we still feel so fortunate to have been able to interview and bring John's story from Uganda, from Kids Hope Foundation, his story to light. And
very heartwarming story, and one that hits home for a lot of people. This time of year, it's all about giving to each other and family. And here he struggles with just trying to make ends meet and get whatever little he can to
well, for the
for the
kids, for
children.
the
And
children there, he has a lot of children. He's in the orphanage that
but
they're
he
happy to
gives
have one meal a
so
day.
much of himself, and you can tell there's so much love there
Mm-hmm.
that it's
Yeah, if
very
you haven't,
amazing
it
story.
really is. It brought tears to our eyes, really.
Um,
If you haven't had a chance to check that out, there's a video clip here on YouTube, and then you can hear the whole podcast. But I would go to Beacon of Hope on our website, and you can learn more about John and Destination Hope, and you can nominate someone. You can nominate an organization if you'd like for us to showcase. But yeah, it's just, for me, it was a sounding reminder that the greatest gift is not things. The greatest gifts really are hope and time. They're the two greatest gifts you can give someone. A little bit of time can make memories that last forever. And when I always tell the story when we talk about it a lot. I know growing up, um, I don't remember the gifts that I unwrapped at Christmas time. I don't really remember details of that. But I remember the time I spent with my dad, who's no longer with us. With my mom when she was able to walk around. Now she's wheelchair bound and she's disabled. I remember the family and the friends, and like I remember the experiences, the moments. That was the time. That's what we have, to take with us.
and that's something that we have to remember, that giving that little bit of time is going to be so much more than that little gift.
I mean, if you have a choice between
And you
someone,
reminded me of that. I used to do it so much more, and then I just got lost in kind of the shuffle of I don't have time for myself, or I just no, there's no time. I just got to get this done. I got to get this done. And then I'm reminded of how precious time is, and
mm-hmm.
I took a little bit of myself back, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, I will. Yes, I can I had my neighbor ask me if I could take her daughter to basketball, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, I can. I would love to, and it was the most fun, and I'm so glad I did.
Mm-hmm.
You
And she'll
know,
remember that for a long time.
and
It's
cleaning the floor is going to still be there. It's going to be dirty the next day, so just
all the things that are here are going to be here whether we're here or not.
yeah.
So for me, it's like, yeah, that is a gift. If you have an opportunity, if you have a choice, let's say someone says, "Hey, I want you to go shopping with me, or let's go do something fun together just for the heck of it," or and so you can go buy things for someone, or you can spend time with that person, or you can do a little bit of both. But I mean,
Or, oh my gosh, I've got laundry to do. I can't right now. What's more important? The
you can't get that back. You
so,
can't get those seconds back. You can't get those moments back. And so yeah. But anyway, I think we'll close it out and thank everybody for being here, for supporting the show. And
if you have a question you would like to ask Kerry, feel free to write in. You can write it and send it to my email. It's daphne@sensorysoundness.com.
I might not get to it till next year, though.
I don't know how you get to them most of the time, just because. But then you explain very well that you have different boxes. You'll open it up, you close it, you go back and forth.
Yeah, I
back and
mean,
forth.
to me, sleeping is just is almost a waste of time.
Yeah.
I only sleep because I have to. I want to get to bed and so I can get right back up
Oh
again.
my gosh. Yes. And yes, he does give me time. I get like an hour and a half, 2 hours in the evening. But then he calls me off and on all day long. So it's all good.
Yeah, honey, I'm sending you this. I'm sending you this. I'm sending you this.
Yep.
When can you get this done? So, oh well, I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate.
I'm very happy.
Yep. All right, everyone. Well, we look forward to seeing you next year, and keep an eye out on the events page and our social media. Appreciate you following us on social media, and join the Century Soundness page on Facebook.
And listening to our podcast.
And share it and let people know about it, and that always helps. But we'll keep pressing, because equine psychology is certainly my passion. That's for sure.
And my passion is helping Kerry Thomas spread the word.
Well, I'm glad. All I got to do is do the dishes.
No, please don't. I'm kidding.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
And don't forget,
be the bridge
and not the block.
Not the block. See ya.
Bye now.